Hey everyone, Brendan Snyder here. How are you? So I'm outside Sound Exchange. Yes, I am doing one of my Let's Go to the Record Store videos. We're going to go inside, see what we can find today. There's always great stuff here. You guys hear me talk about this store. You know I love it. They are just packed to the gills with CDs, but they've also got lots of vinyl, and I know they got some good finds today. So let's head on inside and see what we can find today. All right, here we go, guys. We are going inside Sound Exchange right now. Ah, look at that. Always love walking into this place, never gets old. All the fantastic music, CDs, everything that's in here. This is the place to be, guys. So as I was saying when we were outside, this store has a little bit of everything in it, man. We got the vinyl that's here, you got CDs that are on the wall, and you can just kind of peruse around this place and see all the fantastic stuff that we are about to go through here. Here's a classic one from Autographs. Sign in, please. You guys remember the song Turn Up the Radio? Very good one right there. All right, this one's one of my favorite new wave of British heavy metal bands, Angel Witch. Their self-titled debut album. Absolutely fantastic stuff going on here. All right, we've got Shake Your Moneymaker, the original one here, but we've also got the anniversary edition of it. So you can take your pick, two different album covers, two CDs in this one here, so you got some cool bonus stuff going on with that one. But there is just something nice about that classic original album cover. Not really sure why they changed it, but at least for us hardcore collectors, you get something different if you're gonna have both of them in your collection. All right, here's an unexpected one. Tim Curry, Fearless. Remember him from the Rocky Horror Picture Show? Well, he's got some solo albums too you can check out. One of my favorite bands out of the 80s, Dokken, back for the attack. Their final album with George Lynch, A Kiss for Death, or A Kiss of Death. Absolutely love that one. Night by Night is another good one. Heaven Sent, I think that was the main single off of this. The guitar solo, Mr. Scary, so good. For me at least, this one here is my #1 album from Dokken. All right, man, one of my favorite bands out of the 60s, and I didn't grow up during that time frame, is The Doors. I really like the second album, Strange Days, but you know what? Over the years, I more and more have really enjoyed the debut. Originally, I would have told you L.A. Woman was my favorite, but you know, more and more, this one right here, loving that album. Dirty Looks, one of the most underrated glam metal bands, a later era album called Slave to the Machine. May not have come out during the 80s, but this stuff here still sounds really good and is totally worth checking out if you're into the glam metal music. All right, so just released this week, if you're watching this video new, then March 29th, Deep Purple Machine Head has been reissued, not the one we're looking at right here. The new one has a 2024 remix on it, but this one here was done in 1997. It's got a 1997 remix. I gotta say now, between the two of these, the 1997 remix and the brand new 2024, this one is where it's at. This is the one to check out. Although I'm kind of starting to like the new 2024, it just sounds a little flat. Certainly not as much life as this one or as the original, but you guys be the judges. Let me know if you like the new 2024 Machine Head remix. Looking for some very early Ronnie James Dio. I got the band Elf here. Got David Rock Feinstein, his cousin, as part of this band as well. And of course, these guys would go on to back up Richie Blackmore and Rainbow. It's not quite the sound of Dio or Rainbow or even Black Sabbath. Definitely much more straight up rock and roll sort of sound, but very cool album cover. It's one of those ones where the album cover makes it look heavier than it is. Whole genre of those things out there. All right, here's one of my absolute favorite glam metal bands, Enough's Enough don't get enough love, but man, this first album here with New Thing and Fly High Michelle was so good. And the band continued on for a really long time putting out stuff, mostly in Japan, but never really changing their sound, always still sounding like this classic stuff here. This is the debut album, totally worth exploring. And hey, they're still together today. Donnie V, main singer's not with them, but Chip Z'Nuff is still there, and you got some other newer guys with them. This is a fun John Fogerty album, frontman guitarist from Creedence Clearwater Revival, doing his own versions, covers of some of his own songs with his family members, done actually during lockdown, back during the pandemic. And these are just fun, interesting versions, something new, something different. Doesn't replace the originals. You can still have those, but you've got something else you can check out from him that is just, like I said, it's just a fun record. Keeping on the John Fogerty theme, we've got this, Hoodoo, the Lost Album. He recorded this back in the day, and I guess didn't like it very much, and so it never got released, but versions of it have come out. I've debated for a long time on picking this bootleg up for just that reason. I want to check out the album, but I'm a stickler for not having stuff with crappy art in it, and I just really hate the art on this, which was done a lot better. I'm sure eventually I'll find a much better version, or maybe John Fogerty will finally release it himself, but Lost Album called Hoodoo, John Fogerty. One more thing you can hunt down if you didn't know it was out there before. Now you do. Some classic Faith No More, The Real Thing. Love this album. It was the first album I got by the band. From Out of Nowhere, Epic, Falling to Pieces, Surprise You're Dead, all that stuff, so good. But I actually really like the second side of this so much better with The Real Thing, Underwater Love. Woodpecker from Mars is probably my favorite song off of this album here. Right, so what if Def Leppard and LA Guns had a baby together, right? What would you get? You'd get Girl. Now, actually got Phil Collen from Def Leppard before Def Leppard, and you got frontman from LA Guns, Phil Lewis, before LA Guns. But, this is what it would have mashed up into here. You got the band Girl. They even do the song Hollywood Tease that was later done on the debut LA Guns album. So you can check out a redone version of it there, but of course it first happened here. One of my favorite albums from last year, the brand new Peter Gabriel called I.O. Turned out to be so good. It was one of those albums, though, that upon first listen didn't really connect with me. But after multiple listens to this, it just grew on me every time. Ended up ranking pretty high in my top 20 from last year. All right, so this was one of those bands from back in the day, kind of a niche thing, kitschy. This says Green Jelly, but of course originally Green Jello was the name, and then they got sued by the Jello company and had to change their name. But I always liked it, kind of a cross between Gwar, I don't know, meets some straight up rock and roll stuff, but a lot of fun. Glad they're still kicking around. All right, here's a newer band called The Gems. They're actually, these three ladies are from the band Thunder Mother, but unfortunately they were booted from the band and decided to form their own group, The Gems. I highly recommend it. I'm really digging this album, brand new this year, 2024, and some real good straight up rock and roll. Here we go, we got Head East, classic band out of the 70s. This one's called Full Circle as they re-record a bunch of their older stuff. Newer lineup, still got one or two, I think, of the original members here. But it actually was really good and exciting to hear new versions of those done with modern recording technology. Here's a brand new one from Heaven's Edge, Get It Right. These guys were from back in the day, part of the glam metal scene. Another one who got back together and has made a third album. They've got two out that came out, one from back in the day, one from the mid-90s, and then now this one. And it's another one. It's totally worth checking out, again, if you're in the glam metal scene. All right, following original vocalist Michael Kiske being out, Andy Duras came in and made this absolutely fantastic Master of the Rings album. Absolutely one of my favorite albums by them. I do love the original lineup, but I gotta say, this one here, they did a fantastic job moving forward. Here's a very cool reissue. The band Hydra, Southern rock band, 3-4 album here. They're 3 studio albums, all on, well, 2 discs here, actually, the BGO label. You can pick this up and check it out. In honor of the shirt I'm wearing, I got a Kick shirt on Blow My Fuse. Gotta pull out the album Blow My Fuse on Rock Candy Records. Such a good album and a fantastic reissue at that. Definitely worth checking out.
What's going on with Midnight's all of a sudden just blowing the fuck out of here?
Oh, I love this. Can't believe they've got it here. We got some Love Hate. This is the second album, my favorite of theirs, Wasted in America. Jizzy Pearl, the guy who's gone and he's sung for so many different bands. I mean, he's sung for Rat, he's sung for LA Guns, done a solo stuff. He was part of Adler's Appetite, but this is a fantastic second album from his original band, Love Hate. Go check it out if you don't know it.
Oh, is that the cool spot on the road?
Oh man, they got my favorite LA Guns album, Hollywood Vampires. I just love this one so much. I mean, I do like the first 2. They're just fantastic too, don't get me wrong, but for whatever reason, I love this album. It's just the one that really clicked with me. Kiss My Love Goodbye is on here. Even the ballad Crystal Eyes is really good, but I like a lot of the deep cuts like Dirty Love, It's Over Now. Well, that one was a hit, but so many good things on this LA Guns album. All right, so while we haven't had a brand new Queen studio album in a very long time, we did get this, a live album featuring Adam Lambert called Live Around the World, which turned out to be really, really good. It had so much energy in it. I was actually very surprised. You guys know I'm not a big fan of live albums, but this one here really did it for me. And I'm liking it a lot, man. I've seen Adam Lambert with Queen twice, and it blew my mind both times. I gotta say, this live album here does the same thing. All right, classic from Rainbow, Down to Earth. We got Graham Bonnet on vocals. He only did the one album, which is so unfortunate. Such good stuff here, but if you want more of this, you could check out Graham Bonnet's solo album lineup, which actually has a lot of the guys from Rainbow playing on here, and this stuff definitely right in line. So you got 2 killer albums there from Graham Bonnet that you can check out. Here's the Rat album I keep in my car. Probably one of my absolute favorites out of their career, Invasion of Your Privacy. Always loved that album cover when I was a young kid. But just such great stuff on this album. You're in Love, Never Use Love, Lay It Down. Songs just go on and on this. Definitely need Rat back. I don't know what's going on with those guys, but I wish they'd get it together and get back out there like all the other great 80s bands that they were part of. This one's a bit of a rarity. We got Virginia Wolf, which is a very cool band, but look who's in it there. We've got Jason Bonham, son of John Bonham, on drums. Back from around, I don't know, 80, 81, somewhere right around in that range. But a cool Rock Candy Records reissue of it. Also, really like the album cover. I thought the art for the Virginia Wolf there is pretty cool. Always been a big fan of Joe Walsh, and I gotta say, this album here, Analog Man, is a standout album. Last one he did, last studio album so far. I wish he'd do another one, but as good as anything he did back in the 70s and early 80s. So if you've never checked this out, just because it came out too late for you, it's definitely worth checking out. In my opinion, one of his absolute best albums. If you've been missing new music from Mr. Big, you know, there is the Winery Dogs, which essentially, for me at least, sounds a lot like Mr. Big. Of course, we got Billy Sheehan in there who lends that sound, but we've also got former Mr. Big guitar player himself, Richie Kotzen there, and then Mike Portnoy from Dream Theater in on drums. Made 3 albums total here. Mike Portnoy has returned back to Dream Theater, and Billy Sheehan back out with Mr. Big, so don't really know if this band is going to continue or not, but definitely worth checking out some great straight up rock and roll. All right, one place I'm absolutely always going to have to hit up every time I come in a store is the new release wall. You never know what you're going to find. Let's see what we got today. We got some Typo Negative, got some reissues, 2 CD sets there. Mark Knopfler's got a new single out, Guitar Heroes. 60 guitar players on that thing. Reissue from Gentle Giant. We got a brand new album from Ride. We got Prog Collective, which is headed up by Billy Sherwood of Yes. Let's see, we've also got some stuff from last week. We got Black Crowes in there, Jesus and Mary Jane. This was a cool one here, Cure Paris reissue, where Robert Smith actually resequenced the whole thing. So it's got a new feel. We've got brand new Sum 41. Sheryl Crow came back. She said she was never going to make another record, and then she makes this here, Evolution. We got some Dandy Warhols. The Obsessed are back with a new album. Scott Stapp from Creed has something out. Oh, I can't not talk about the brand new Judas Priest, Invincible Shield. This thing here is so good. This one here may make my #1 in the end of the day. Who knows? Another close one there that I really like is Bruce Dickinson's new album. Super, super good. And of course, another cool one is Live at the Wiltern, the Rolling Stones. This was a show where they did a lot of rarities, and it turned out very, very good to hear all that stuff that Harley has ever done. Makes for listening to a live album so much more interesting. One of my favorite things going into the record store is always hitting the used CDs, because you never know what you're going to find in these places. I mean, look at this mountain of stuff. They've got 4 or 5 racks this size full of it, and there's always a hidden gem in there. You just got to start at the beginning, go all the way through it. That's what I do. I take a few hours when I go to the record store, but I always come out with some killer stuff. So let's go through it and see what we can find. All right, over in the used section, always check the used section. Lita Ford's kind of self-titled, called Lita. Absolutely a great album. Good price on it too. Back to the Cave, always like that opening track, but of course, Kiss Me Deadly is on here, and Close My Eyes Forever with Ozzy. What a great album.
Interesting couple weeks, man.
Yeah, it was.
What'd you get?
I got the second Montrose album, Paper Money. Definitely not as hard rocking as the debut. Never really been able to get into this one here. Everybody loves the first one, such a classic. Kind of would have been cool to have heard Sammy Hagar do a few more albums to see if the third or fourth with him would have rocked as hard as the debut, but he did have at least 2, and of course we got the killer solo era of Sammy Hagar. Definitely like these guys here, Men at Work, one of my favorite Australian bands from the early 80s, Business as Usual, Who Can It Be Now, Down Under, you know, those were the big hits, but a lot of other really good stuff on this album. Definitely worth checking out if you're a fan of that early 80s sound. While on the topic of Australian bands, we got Midnight Oil, Diesel and Dust. Of course, the big famous song, Beds Are Burning. They're probably the most popular of all their releases. Got this one you can check out as well. I don't know, I've always had a real thing. Loved the Australian bands. Oh, look at this. This is a good find here. Paul McCartney, Red Rose Speedway. This one hard to come by for a very long time. This one had 3 bonus tracks on it. It's since been reissued, but for one of these copies here, this is a good find.
CD, Rocket to Russia. It's, creamed cheese.
Here's a fun one from Cheap Trick called Found All the Parts, a little 10-inch that they put out. Had some unreleased stuff on it at the time. We got Day Tripper, was a very cool cover version that they did from the Beatles song. But there you go, 76, 77, 78, 79. Found all the parts. And look, I found the part. All right, so the Cult have put Dreamtime back in print. A little bit different type album cover than I'm used to from the CD edition of it, but it's always great. 40th anniversary. I think they were actually out playing this album live, or at least a lot of the tracks from it, when they were out touring as Death Cult. Yeah, so there you go, man. If you're a vinyl fanatic, you got Dreamtime back in print. All right, for all you vinyl fanatics out there, check out this very cool Dio picture disc live at Donington. Very nice one here. But look, check out these other ones as well. There's something cool in all of these things here. There's, I think, 4 of these down here, man. Look at that. Magica. Such great stuff, man. If I had these, I think I'd have to frame them. They're so cool. And we got that one there. So just a lot of cool stuff. Can't go wrong with Dio, man. Always, always the best.
Were you looking at Kiss on CD?
Yeah, the white truck.
Yeah, that might try.
This is it's
All right, so Mick Jagger, lead singer of the Rolling Stones, got us in the doorway. I loved this album, but it just didn't sell. I don't know why it didn't. I thought it was a fantastic record. Just goes to show we all hear things a little bit differently.
Stop. And you go.
So some of the vinyl may be down on the floor, but hey, no big deal. I'll just sit down here and go through it. I found a really cool section here with some Caius in it, one of my favorite bands out of the early 90s. My favorite album of them, this one here, Sky Valley. Got to check this out if you like, you know, what is it, Queens of the Stone Age, the band that went on after this. They started from Caius, so definitely worth checking out, guys. Oh my God, one of my all-time favorite driving albums, Condition Critical by Quiet Riot. I love this. I could listen to this album every single day. I could also listen to Metal Health along with it. These are just killer rock and roll albums. And like I said, for me, they're driving albums. I want to put them in my car and I want to just go, go, go.